Hey guys, Jordan with the Young Turks and TYT Politics. It is what's today? Monday, and it is pretty cold in Standing Rock. I apologize if this live stream goes dead. Yesterday I tried to go live, but it is so cold here that the cold literally zaps the battery and the phone off. So I'm going to try to stay live as long as I can. Right now it's 4 degrees. Wind chill feels more like -10. I just wanted to do a quick report here. I'm at the main Osheti Sakoin camp here at Standing Rock. This will be my last day at Standing Rock. I'm going home to New York for a few days, and then I'll be going to Texas to cover the Trans-Pecos pipeline there. As you know, I've been to Standing Rock 5 times. My current trip here, I've been here 3 weeks. So it's a bit of a bittersweet thing to leave, but the Young Turks will be sending another reporter to cover Dakota Access Pipeline as I go. So we'll have it covered even without me here. And of course, I might be back. So we'll see what happens. Let me know if you guys can hear me well. My hand is holding the monopod and I'm a little cold, but I'll try to make it louder if you can't hear me. So I wanted to get across a few things to you because the mainstream media and even a lot of independent media has left. If you could see, let me flit around here for you. The camp has emptied out quite a bit. I'm not going to bullshit you about it. The camp is, I'd say, half as full as it was before. Let me try to zoom in for you. So that's the camp here, Osheti Sakoi. Across the river there is the Rosebud camp. There is the sun beaming down on me. Hopefully that's a good sign. And back to me. So camp's about half full. I would say you probably have at this point about 1,000 people left. Most people obviously have left because of the severe winter conditions. They were not well equipped to be out in the cold. They were here in summer tents originally, and unfortunately it's very difficult with blizzards coming rapidly. There's already been 2 blizzards in 2 weeks here. It's very difficult for everybody to winterize and get in heated tents all in a span of 2 weeks with the blizzard that have been coming. It's also been very dangerous because as the blizzards are coming, the Morton County Police, Governor Jack Dalrymple, still have a blockade in place just above the camp on the bridge. They call it Blackwater Bridge. They still have this blockade in place. So if people get sick, if people get hurt, if people get hypothermic, they cannot get straight to Bismarck. This main road, 1806, allows people from here to get to Bismarck in about 45 minutes. Bismarck would be the nearest town. Mandan/Bismarck would be the nearest town if you need medical attention or, a hotel or whatever it is. Only one hotel here. So people who have been sick, people who have needed medical attention to get to the nearest city for food, for shelter, it's been very difficult. There are still, as I said, 1,000 people here. And when I interviewed them the last 2 days, I said, everybody outside of here thinks that this issue is done. They think, oh, the permit was denied for the oil company to drill under Lake Oahe. So what are you guys doing out here? And it's really striking to me because Native Americans, the history of Native Americans, the history of this country, as a white person and as white people watching, we might understand it, but we've never had it done to us. They don't trust the government. They don't trust what President Obama says or what the Army Corps of Engineers says. Yes, it was a small victory, not yesterday, but the Sunday before that, when the Army Corps said they will not grant a permit for them to drill under Lake Oahe. But Native Americans here, a lot of the non-natives that are still here, they don't trust that the company won't drill under the lake. And they essentially feel, you know what, the minute we leave, the minute there's nobody here to stand for the camp, to stand for the water, that's when they're going to go ahead and do it. And they will end up just, drilling under the lake. Trump will become president and they'll pay, a couple, maybe $50 million fine or something like that. So the Native Americans staying here now and the non-natives staying here, like I said, my best guess is there's probably 1,000 people here. They are here because they are basically the watchers. They are watching what the oil company is doing. When I asked them, do you guys plan on continuing to take action? Like you saw here the last few months, there was pretty much demonstrations, actions against the police. against the police, against the oil company, just about every day. They said, yeah, they plan on doing that. You should also know that December is a global month of action against the Dakota Access Pipeline. I can't read you the information now because I'm live, but I will put the links for the information under the video once we put this video on TYT Politics on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed, youtube.com/TYT Politics, 136,000 subscribers. Can we get 150 by the end of the year? That's up to you. Help us, support us. So there's a global month of action. So you could go to actionnetwork.org, I believe it is, and you could find where there's actions in your neighborhood to stand up against the Dakota Access Pipeline. There's also the ongoing bank divestment initiative. People like Susan Sarandon, other activists, have been pushing hard for people to divest from the banks that are investing in the Dakota Access Pipeline. Even with the permit being denied, we have not heard of Wells Fargo. We have not heard of Bank of America. These other banks, I think there's at least 15 to 20 banks, big name banks, that are invested in the Dakota Access Pipeline, and that's not just American banks. That's Swedish banks, Norwegian banks, foreign banks as well. So the question is, why are these banks still invested in a pipeline company that has been denied a permit to drill in under a lake, and the company says it plans on breaking the law? It plans on drilling anyway. Why are banks? Why do we have our money in those banks that say they are going to invest in a law-breaking oil company? That's the question. And we all know it's all about the money, baby. It's the money, as Lebowski said. So you hit them where it hurts. You hit those banks in their wallet. They will be backing out of this pipeline faster than I could go down that hill, which isn't fast. So they'll be faster than me. Now another question. You had the Democrats come out. 4 months late, as usual, saying, "Oh, I stand with Standing Rock," all this business. Well, where is the mobilization now against Donald Trump? I don't hear much mobilization among the leaders of our Democratic Party right now to say, Donald Trump, we need you to come out verbally and forcefully now saying you will not be approving any permits once Energy Transfer Partners resubmits permits, because that's their plan, to basically resubmit the permits once Trump gets into office, which I believe is January 21st. So where is the mobilization now? I'm not going to call people to start protesting. That's up to you. But we all know where Donald Trump lives. Trump Tower. He's going to be living in the White House. So there needs to be mobilization starting now against Donald Trump, because Obama, the Army Corps, they might have done the right thing, but Donald Trump is a whole other beast. And as we've seen, he's reportedly about to name the CEO of ExxonMobil to be his Secretary of State, that's beyond the pale even for Donald Trump. But the bottom line is, this is a man, the future president, who loves himself oil. He loves big oil. He thinks that's the present. He thinks that's the future. He says climate change is a hoax. So as much mobilization has happened against Barack Obama, the Army Corps, the banks, you need to double that against Donald Trump. So that's the next part of this story. There's also stuff that's happening at camp. I'm not going to lie to you. There's a lot less to cover here. There's a lot less people here. It's not as fluid of a story at the current moment in Standing Rock to cover. You got to be more creative in finding things to cover. But if you go to youtube.com/TYT Politics, you could see great interviews we did over the weekend. I interviewed a gentleman named B.J. Kidder, who is a tribal elder now. But the story he told me was heart-wrenching, how when he was 5 or 6 years old, the U.S. government flooded the land here. They forced him and his family to sleep out in a tent in freezing sub-zero temperatures here in North Dakota. They promised BJ and his family electricity, free housing. Of course, electricity and free housing never came. So it seems that broken promises from the U.S. government, that has not changed over the years. So you can watch that. I also interviewed Chase Iron Eyes last night. Chase Iron Eyes is a leader here. He's a member of the Standing Rock Sioux tribe. I interviewed him weeks ago while he was running for Congress in North Dakota. Yesterday at the main Osheti-Sakoi camp, I interviewed him because the day before, the Sacred Fire was put out. Now, the Sacred Fire was an ongoing fire that was lit starting in July, and went out 2 days ago here at Osheti-Sakoi camp. So all the water protectors, people from around the country who have dedicated to the cause here were wondering, why did you put out the sacred fire? Are you saying that this fight is over? My understanding is the sacred fire in Native American ceremony and ritual eventually must go out. The reasons for one fire going out and another one starting, I can't really tell you. But this fire, it was told to me, it was time for it to go out. And yesterday, Chase and dozens of other water protectors, Native Americans and non-natives, stood by and created a new sacred fire. We were there for that ceremony. We interviewed Chase next to the new sacred fire, and spoke to Chase about the reasons he's staying, the reasons the other Native Americans are staying here, the reasons non-natives are staying here. Again, they're not leaving until that drill pad is gone. And it's also bigger and much bigger than just the pipeline. They're staying here because they want the discussion to continue about their sovereign land and their treaty rights, their land by treaty. They don't want this to just end with a pipeline. Again, this is their land via treaties in the 1851 and 1868. So they're staying here fighting for the Army Corps and the U.S. government to give them back their land. So it's about more than just fighting for the pipeline. But again, at this moment, you probably have about 1,000 people still here at the main Osheti-Sakoi camp. Technically, this is U.S. Army Corps land, so the Army Corps can evict them at any time if they want. But so far, the Army Corps has said they have to leave, but has not forcefully evicted anyone. But the temperatures are going to get colder, so reason would stand there will be more people leaving. Chase did say in my interview with him that they do welcome new people, but only people who are self-sufficient, who have heated tents, who can come with their own wood, can come with their own propane, because they cannot be responsible for any more people than they are already responsible, which again is about 1,000 people. I also want to move on before I finish to talking about the Dakota Access Pipeline and the fight elsewhere. And you can see how cold it is by my nose, which looks like Clifford the Red-Nosed Dog. There is also Dakota Access Pipeline. The fight continues in Iowa as well as Illinois. Those are the two other states that this pipeline is going through. In Iowa on December 15th, so 3 days from now, at 8:30 in the morning, there will be a hearing at the Polk County Courthouse. I will put more information under this video. In Iowa, they are fighting the pipeline, which is basically completed there because, like here, there was, shocker, no environmental impact study, and the Iowa Utilities Board basically rammed it through. So you're going to have water protectors there. You're also going to have conservative landowners who are against this pipeline because their land is being seized by eminent domain. So this pipeline brings together liberal, progressive, and conservatives. Obviously for different reasons, but the conservatives that are going to be there are fighting against this pipeline because their land is being stolen and seized from them, all in the name of big oil. So December 15th, if you're in the Iowa area, it's in Des Moines at the Polk County Courthouse at 8:30 in the morning. The water protectors and the conservative landowners are going to be fighting against the pipeline on grounds that there was no environmental impact study, and the conservative landowners were also not consulted about their land being seized. There's also still construction going on in Illinois. I'm going to botch the pronunciation, but I think it's at the crossing of the Kaskaskia River. I will put the information under the video for that too. But like you saw in Standing Rock, you have public police. The state police are protecting the private oil company in Illinois. So the road near this pipeline construction in Illinois is closed from 4 different directions. So to get to that pipeline, you'd have to be Rambo. Like here, you'd have to be Rambo. So I'm going to put the information there. If you live in the Illinois area or nearby, if you want to go there and try to protest, you're welcome to. You'll have all the information for the Iowa and Illinois protests under the video once we put this up on youtube.com/TYTpolitics. So the fight against the Dakota Access Pipeline is not finished. Here in Standing Rock, it is slowed down a little bit. Again, the camp is probably half the size of what it used to be. But again, 3 days from now, you have the fight in in Iowa at the Polk County Courthouse, where you'll have water protectors, conservative landowners, the Sierra Club. When you have the Sierra Club and conservatives coming together on one side, that's when you know you're on the right side of history. So the Sierra Club will be there, and I will also We'll also be keeping you updated on the events in Iowa, on the events in Illinois, and I am going back to New York for a few days tomorrow, but then I'm going to Texas to cover the Trans-Pecos pipeline. The Trans-Pecos pipeline has been going, the construction's been going now for a year, and it's going from Texas down through Mexico. So I guess this is what Donald Trump was talking about when he said, we're not sending jobs to Mexico, we're keeping our jobs here. But they will send the oil to Mexico. So I will be going down to cover that because that story is very interesting because, again, it's conservative cowboys against this pipeline. It's not African Americans, Native Americans, although they're against the pipeline too. The people most affected in Texas are conservatives. So I'm going to show you that side of the story. And I'm going to end with this. Even this is my 5th time. I might be back in Standing Rock at some point, but if I'm not, I want to tell you what I think. I think that to me, I'm not indigenous. I'm not African American. I'm a white guy. I didn't grow up rich. I didn't grow up poor. I had it pretty decent. But my white privilege, whatever was left, is effectively gone. I mean, the stories I heard here, the people I spoke to, the horrors that I witnessed and heard from Native Americans, you really learn as a white person that you don't have it so bad. I mean, we all have our problems. We all have our obstacles. A lot of our obstacles come from the government, the greed, the oligarchy we live in. But what these Native Americans have been forced to deal with in the last 300, 400 years, what they're still forced to deal with, it's horrific. No person, no group should be looked at as subhuman. No group or person should be treated as subhuman. And that's what the story of this pipeline is about.